Hey friends, welcome to JD's Guidance. Friends, today in this video we will learn about risk and return. As we all know that whenever we are investing, we are interested to know two things: how much is the return and how much would be the risk. Because as the fundamental principle is that more the risk, more will be the returns. Now first let us understand the concept of what is return, what is risk, and then we will see how to measure risk and return. So stay tuned and let's begin. Now say for example, when I'm saying return, what we are referring to. So actually return in finance can be referred to as total return. Maybe we are talking about total return. We may be talking about average return, or we may be talking about the expected return. So what is your total return? Total return from an investment is nothing. So I'm writing return from an investment is nothing. How much is your dividend that your share is paying, or it is the fixed cash that you are receiving, plus you are getting some appreciation in the price of the shares. That means you bought it for 100 rupees and the price is now 120, divided by P0. That means how much the cost of the asset was or share was when you bought it. So what is your total return? Please remember only this much, that you are getting dividends yearly in the period 1, and what is the price at this period minus what was the price when you bought it, P0, divided by the purchase price of the asset or the share. So if I can break this, it will divide by P0, D1 by P0 by P1 minus P0 divided by P0. So when I say total return, actually I'm referring to two things. This is your fixed cash that you are receiving, fixed receipts, that is the fixed amount that you are receiving, plus this one is your capital appreciation. So what is your capital appreciation? If you have bought a share and it increases its value, then of course there is a capital appreciation. So this is the return when we say total return. Right? Now friends, what is your average return? Average means over the years you try to find out what was the average returns. Say for example, year 1 it was 100, year 2 was 150, year 3 was 180. So I take the average of these returns and say this is my average return. In finance, I make use of arithmetic mean as well as geometric mean to know what is the average return. When we talk about expected return, we are talking about the most popular concept of return in finance. So what is an expected return? Expected return is nothing we refer to as ER. Okay, so expected return is equal to, you are getting something called, in our expected return we are getting the returns, okay, returns into, we are multiplying the probability of earning that return, okay, divided by weight of all the returns. So suppose this is the return in period 1 into probability of earning that return in year 1 plus the return in period 2 plus probability of earning this return in period 2. So not plus, multiply, and then so on, and you divide everything with the sum of the probability. So what it is actually referring to? It is referring to the weighted average of all the expected returns, all the probable returns. Let's understand with an example. For example, we know that in a normal situation, I may earn a return of 100. In a recessionary period, I may earn 80, and in a boom period, I may earn 120. So what is my expected return? I will try to know what is the probability that there will be a normal situation and I will earn 100. So the probability is 20. In recession, I say there is a chance that I will earn 80. This is the probability. Probability or the chance that I will earn this much, 80. Okay. And this is again having another, say 10. So this is probability and this is the returns. So when I multiply these two, so I'm just writing this is RI and I'm writing this is PI. So what I will do, I will just multiply RI and PI. So RI into PI, when I do, say suppose this will be 2000, this will be 1600, and this will be 2400, and then I sum them all. What is the sum here? 10, 3, 4, 5, 6,000, and I divide this 6,000. So my expected return will be 6,000 divided by the sum of the probabilities. If you sum them all, it will come to 1. So my probability, my expected return is rupees 6,000. So friends, what is expected return? Expected return is the returns that you are expecting multiplied with the probability that you will earn this return, and we sum them all when divide with the weights, with the probabilities, then you will get the expected returns. Friends, in this theory of finance, or when we talk about the finance literature, we are referring mainly with the expected returns. Now let's come to the other side of the coin, that is risk. What is the risk? Risk is the chances that your expectations will not come, or there is a chance that you will vary from your expected returns. So when I say my expected return is 6,000, what is the chance that I will vary from 6,000, or things will not be same as you have expected? That is known as risk. So risk is nothing but it is the variability in the expected returns. So risk is nothing but the variability in expected returns, right? So when you have expected something and you know that there is a variation, so of course there is a risk. When I have invested the money with the expectation that I will earn 6,000, if I vary from them, that it is known as risk. Now friends, as we have seen the chart for returns, risk also has a subdivision. Let us see very minute. Now let's talk about the risk and its classification. Now actually, how do we measure risk? There are two ways by which I can measure risk. One is the behavioral way, and the another one is the statistical way. In behavioral way, we make use of sensitivity analysis plus say for example probability distribution, probability studies, whereas in statistical methods we will see in this video. For this we have a different video, we can refer to this. Let's talk about the risk. Now before that, let's talk about what is the classification of risk. In finance, we are generally recognizing two types of risk. One is known as the systematic risk, and the another one is the unsystematic risk. Now let's understand what is an unsystematic risk first. Unsystematic and systematic, the difference lies with the fact that systematic risk is not diversifiable, whereas unsystematic risk is diversifiable. Okay, systematic risk is not diversifiable, whereas unsystematic risk is diversifiable. Let us understand in details. Now let's first understand what is systematic risk. Systematic risk is a risk that affects the entire system, the entire economy, you can say. Okay, the risk of investments which occurs because of the entire system, because of the economy. Maybe the systematic risk, the prime reason is your inflation. Because of inflation, there is a risk that the purchasing power of the money loses its value. Okay, so there is a risk that the value of investments will fall. So that is known as systematic risk, that comes in the form of inflation. It may be interest rate fluctuation. Okay, the fluctuation in the interest rate, that also causes some kind of risk, and it can also be because of the market ups and downs. So because of market fluctuations, this type of risk takes place. So these three components are the systematic risk. So inflation, of course, you know, because of inflation, the value of your investments goes down, and that's why there is a risk associated. Interest rate fluctuations, okay, because of inflation, because of RBI or central banks policies, the rate of interest varies. That also creates some fluctuations in the value of investments. Because of the market ups and downs, for many reasons, the value of investments may fall, and therefore this type of risk is beyond the control of any investor. It is not possible that you can diversify or you can control this type of risk, and this type of risk is therefore having more interest, and investors want to eliminate this risk, or it's not possible to eliminate but reduce it to the extent possible, and that's why all of our attention is on the systematic component of the risk. Whereas unsystematic risks are those risks which can be controlled. There are actually three types of unsystematic risk. One is the business risk, one is the financial risk, and the other one is the default risk. Now let's understand what is a business risk. Business risk is the risk which happens because of the change in the operating environment where the business is functioning. Maybe because there is a sudden shortage of raw materials, there is huge rise in competition all on a sudden, because of which your sales are affected and because of which your operating profits are affected. This type of risk is known as business risk. This is because of the uncertainties that prevail in the business environment. However, if you have proper strategies, you can overcome this type of risks. Coming to financial risk. Financial risk means whenever you are running a business, you have a capital base. And what makes your capital? If this is the capital, you have some part of your own owner's capital, your own capital, and there is something called borrowed capital. Now, both the components are necessary for business, and if you have taken owner's loan, if it is an owner's fund, you have put more of your money, you are more safe. But if you have taken borrowed fund, there is chance that when your business is not earning sufficient profit, you will not be able to repay the interest. And this type of risk, that you are not able to repay the loans or any amounts that you have borrowed, is known as the financial risk. And the last type of risk is the default risk. When you are raising fund for your business, you are issuing some instruments. It could be a debenture, it could be a preference shares, it can be bonds. And now each of these securities have their own inherent risk. There are some risk with the instrument itself. So this type of risk, for example, if you are using a debenture, if you are raising bonds, issuing bonds, or you are issuing shares, they have their own specific risk. Okay, so you can say that the shares are less risky, but debentures are more risky. Okay, so this way the instrument or the security itself have their own inherent risk. So this type of risk is known as default risk. So you can say that if you have a judicious mixture, if you can very prudently mix the capital structure of the business, you can eliminate the risk. So this type of risk does not call for much of the attention of investors, because they are mainly bothered about the systematic risk. This can be diversified, right? Now friends, since we are talking about risk, we should also know, as I have shown you the measurement of returns, total return, average return, expected return. I want to tell you that how do we measure the risk. Now first let us see that what is your risk. Risk is the sum of systematic and unsystematic risk. First we will see how to measure a total risk, and then we will see how to measure just the systematic risk. We will not see unsystematic because this is not required, because this type of risk can be eliminated, can be brought to zero through proper strategies and proper financial management. Now let's talk about the systematic and the total risk. Let's start. So when we are trying to find out the total risk, as you know, total risk is nothing but the sum of systematic risk plus unsystematic risk. This risk is included in total risk along with systematic risk. So we will first know how to calculate total risk, and then we will see how to calculate systematic risk. Friends, total risk can be calculated statistically. As I have told you, I will use in this video the statistical measures for calculating total risk, and for that we will make use of standard deviation and variance. Standard deviation and variance. So we have a variance which is represented by this symbol and standard deviation by this symbol. So what is this deviation? I have told you that every investor has some expected earnings or returns. So as in my example, 6,000 was the expected return. What is the chance that it will vary or it will deviate? So that is captured by standard deviation and also variance. So now I've taken one example here, suppose the investor is expecting a return of 20, minus 20, minus 10, minus 5 this way, and the probability of earning these returns are also given. So as first step is that I will calculate the expected return ER. Once I know the expected return, then I will find out what is the chance that this expectation will be wrong, and I will have some risk that this will deviate, that expected earnings will deviate. So as I told you, first we have to multiply the returns with the probability of returns. Okay, this way we will multiply. So I will make use of the calculator. So I can say is that 0.2 into 0.05, so it comes to 0.01. I will just write xi, this is the return, and this is pi, this is the probability of earning return, and I'm multiplying xi and pi. First one is 0.01, second one will be 10, this is minus 0.01, second one will be 10 into minus 0.05, that is equal to minus 0.5. Next one will be 5 into 0.1. So this way I will be calculating, so it will be 0.5. This will be 5 into 0.1, so it will be 0.5 again. This will be minus, this will be plus, then it will be 0.15 into 10, so 1.5. Then again 0.25 into 18, that comes to 4.5. And 20 into 0.25, that comes to 5 only, and 30 into 0.05, that comes to 1.5. Now I will sum them all, that is sigma xi into pi. So if I sum them all, so first I will sum the negatives, these are the negatives, and then I will plus the positives. So first is 0.01 plus 0.5 plus 0.5, okay, so I get a total of 1 minus 1.01, and then I total all the plus 0.5 plus 1.5 plus 4.5 plus 5 plus 1.5, I get here 13. So 13 minus, so I will do 13 minus 1.01, so my expected earning is 11.99. How? The formula for expected returns is equals to sigma xi pi, as I told you, divided by sum of all the probabilities. So 11.99 divided by probabilities, if you total, it will come to 1. 25, 25, 50, as I can check it also, 0.05 plus 0.05 plus 0.10 plus 0.10 plus 0.15 plus 0.50, these two plus 0.05, so you will get 1. So your expected earning is 1. Now I will see what is the chance that I will not get 11.91. For that I have to find out variance and standard deviation. Now for that what I will do, I will find out xi minus ER, expected return. What is my xi? Minus 20. Means this much if I earn, how much it will be far from 11.99. This much if I earn, how much I will be far from 11.99. Okay, so what I am doing is nothing but minus 20 minus 11.99, then minus 10 minus 11.99. This way I will do and find out the values. So what I have done is that I have taken the deviation. So now what I will do, I will square it, xi minus expected returns, whole thing square. So if I square this in order to eliminate the negative values. So friends, I have already done the calculations. You can see we have taken the square of these values because these are negative. So when we square, it becomes positive. Once we have taken the square, the next is that with this value we will multiply the probability values. So pi into xi minus er whole square, this column multiplied by this column. So as we multiply, we get these values, and when we sum them up, what we get is known as the variance. So as I already told, variance is this symbol, and from variance, if you have to calculate the standard deviation, you just take the root of variance. That means you have to just take the root of 21.4.746. So expectedly you will get something around 14. So this means that approximately 14, this means that your riskiness of this investment will stand to 14. That means your returns may vary. Your expected returns of 11.99 may vary to the extent of 14. That means you might get 14 rupees less than this, or it may go 14 rupees above this. So this is the whole concept, that how we calculate the total risk. This calculation is about the total risk. If we have to talk about the systematic risk, there is a concept called beta. With the help of beta, we can calculate the systematic risk, which we are going to see in our next video. Friends, that's all for today. Do like, share and subscribe my channel, and comment on any queries you have. See you again in the next video. Bye bye.